I have a lot of clients who come to me and they want to lose body fat, they want to gain muscle, and then sometimes their goals kind of shift a little bit and they're like, I wonder if I could do that and compete in a fitness competition. Well, yes, you can. And I'm going to give you probably my 5 most general, okay, because you can get into each of the 5 things that I'm going to give you here more specifically. I'm going to give you the 5 steps in order to get yourself on the track, at least, to stepping on stage. Number 1, before you decide that, stepping on stage is for you, maybe you've seen some of the girls on Instagram, you see their bodies, maybe some of them compete, and you're like, wow, I'd really like to do that. So maybe then the next step is you go to YouTube and you search out a show and see what competing is all about. And so it is standing on the stage in a bikini in great shape. The first thing you should do, instead of just watching a YouTube video before you step on stage, is actually go and watch a show yourself so that you know what is expected of you at the end of the process. Okay, you stepping on stage, you can feel the energy of the show, the vibe of the show, and really just get a feel for what the entire day is about, at least the stage part of it, and then decide where you would like to go next with it. Most people do start out in the bikini category because most of the categories are based on the level of muscularity that you have. So the next step is to find a show, preferably in your area, that is about 8 to 12 months away. Now, if you have a show 1 year, most likely the same show is going to be offered the following year. So once you go see a show, plan for about 8 to 12 months out from the show to get yourself in good contest shape. I say 8 as a minimum because that's the quickest I've ever prepped somebody from basically no knowledge about training or nutrition to weights and weight training and having good technique, and obviously not completely demolishing their bodies within the gym and stuff like that. It's about 8 months. Okay. And obviously it does depend on how much body fat you need to lose and so forth, and how much time you can commit. But we'll get into all those things later because that's beginner level shows. Sometimes they have shows for newbies where there's competitors who have never competed before, which is where you want to be. There's lots of federations out there to see the types of bodies that they're promoting within their federation, and then kind of the bodies that you like best. And if the show kind of fits within your life schedule, then that's probably the one for you. A bikini, again, is always the greatest place to start because that's the lowest amount of muscle. It's the most basic place to start. I mean, I started out even as what would be considered a bikini competitor. Back then it was called fitness. It's just a level of muscularity. So it's a light level of muscularity or some sort of fitness model category. Obviously, there's other people out there that might have more muscle because they've been training longer or whatnot. The third thing is that you should be training consistently. So that's at least 3 to 5 times a week, probably about an hour, and you're eating whole foods at least 4 to 6 times a day. Now, this is super general and it has nothing to do with your current lifestyle or anything like that. This is just a blanket statement, but it's somewhere within their time frame. So you should have some sort of foundational knowledge. And if you don't, then you just add more time to the prep period, 8 to 12 months. Maybe it'll be more like a year and a half, or 2 years. But there's plenty of shows and there's plenty of time for you to get ready for them. The next thing is, do you need a coach? Number 4, do you need a coach? I am a little bit old school. I've been around for like almost 20 years. I can't believe it. But back in the day, our coaches were probably the magazines. Nowadays, you actually have prep coaches who will help guide you through the entire process from the pre-prep period, which is the period before you start that prep before the show. So the pre-prep period is basically what we would consider like the off season, 6 to 12 months to almost 2 years prior to getting into that prep phase, which the prep phase is generally a 12 to 16 week phase. It could be longer, but the mentality is a little bit different, and there's a mind shift when you're in that pre-prep phase, because in the prep phase, that 12 to 16 weeks before you hit the stage, because you know you're going to get on stage in 12 to 16 weeks. So there's a little bit more pressure for you to not eat certain tempting foods that might be in front of your face, or skip a workout you need to do all of those things because you have only that 12 to 16 week period in order to get your body stage ready to get on stage. And then of course, there's also the post-show period, anywhere between 8 weeks post-show, and sometimes it could be months, okay? Because I've seen girls come off stage, like for instance, I just saw a girl the other day, she competed last May and she's only looking normal in her body. Gosh, it's almost been a year since she's competed. So sometimes that post-show phase can be really, really tough. And so you don't want to give up your coach, or at least some sort of check-in and coaching after the show, because I've found that it's harder after the show than it is leading up to the show. But I think you should have a coach all the way through, at least to get you organized. Okay. So if you start the process and you're like, nope, it's not for me, at least you've tried and you moved in that direction. And fitness wise, health wise, nutrition wise, you're going to learn a lot. Even if you don't step on stage, even if you start the process and you're like, no, this is not for me, that is perfectly okay. And the last one is you just have to get started. You have to get started. You have to put fear aside and just move forward with it. So if you say like, I don't know if I can do this, maybe I'm too old. Like I get that a lot. Oh, am I too old to do this? I'm like, no, you're not too old to do this. It's just, we have to find the right balance of training and nutrition for you and what point you're at in your life. When you're 20, you have ample hours to be able to devote to training and nutrition and, you know, go home, put your feet up. And then when you start adding a life to it, like work and stress and deadlines and kids and activities, appointments, groceries and cleaning and the house stuff, and it's just, the list could go on and on. You know, you have to find where that balance is. And in future videos, I'm going to talk about those things, how to kind of like balance it all and still be able to step on stage with a good mindset and knowing that you've given your all to the process while still trying to have your life at the same point. So competing, 5-step process, complete general overview. There's a lot in between here. Go watch a show, number one. Number two, find a show that's local and about 8 to 12 months away. It could be a year, could be a year and a half, could be 2 years, but you're moving in that direction. Make sure you're training consistently. It's got to be at least 3 to 5 times a week, and that you're doing your nutrition, 4 to 6 meals a day consistently, like that 80-20 rule. Find a coach, which I'm going to do like a whole thing on finding a coach. I do have an article on my site, which I'll post in the comments after I wrap this up. And the last one is you just have to get started. The process, the foundation is your training and your nutrition. All the other fluffy stuff, which is super fun, the shoes, the makeup, the hair, the suit, what you pack on the day of the show, all of that stuff will come in good time. And that's the super fun stuff. The foundation of what you should be focusing on is getting in good quality training and of course your good quality nutrition. Leave me any comments below or any suggestions, because I do have my own list. It's like a massive list of things that I would love to talk to you about competing and all things competing, because I love competing. Or send me a personal message and just get started. Because even if you don't step on stage, you're going to learn a lot about training and nutrition and how you use that to change your body in the ways that you want to change your body. Thanks you for visiting my page. So work hard and be amazing.